a really difficult morning. Just one of those mornings where it just sets a mood for me it can set the mood for the whole day. And I don't want that to happen. I want to come out of this bad mood that I'm in. So I've decided to postpone my workout in the home gym today until I can get into a better headspace, because although working out in the gym when I'm feeling bad sometimes is a great idea because it helps me to work through some of my emotions, I've learned from the past that sometimes I'll use working out as a way to avoid my feelings that are negative, especially the feelings that are difficult. So I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to sit in these feelings and feel them and explore them and ride them out until I can reach a better place to conduct fitness and conduct myself in life. So fingers crossed that I can work through this bump in mood and work my way out the other side today. So I'm on this wellness journey and I'm a couple weeks into it, and I've been thinking lately about what a wellness journey is supposed to be for me, what I want it to be and why. And I think that a wellness journey has a lot to do with acknowledging the things that have made me unwell and seeing those things, not necessarily always remedying them, although I think that healing is definitely part of the wellness journey that I envision. For me, I think as well, it's about just simply acknowledging, seeing, recognizing, giving space to the things that have made me really unwell in my life. And as I reflect on what has made me unwell, a couple things come to mind right away. The first thing I think many people can probably relate to is this feeling of unworthiness. And I think that probably goes back to birth. And right, I could assume that maybe all human beings feel a tinge of unworthiness in this world, right? Because we always doubt, we always question if what we're doing is enough, if what we're doing and who we are is enough to garner reward. And reward is always love and acceptance. It's a feeling of comfort, right? And so we're always sort of grappling with that tension of, am I worthy enough? And the worry that maybe I'm not, right? So that is one of the major elements of unwellness that has confronted me on this journey of life, right? Another thing that has made me feel unwell, has pushed me to be unwell, is fear. And fear is something also that I think most people can relate to and trace it back probably to the beginning of our human existence. Is so much is unknown in this environment of this third dimension that we're constantly confronted with fear. Most of us, I think, repress that fear. We might call it other things like anger or sadness. we might call it, laziness or even bravery. But I think at its core, it's always fear. And at the heart of the fear of the unknown is, when we unmask it, its real face is shown. And it's always the fear of death, right? No matter what it is, even if you're not thinking about death, or even if you're like, what does death have to do with it? I think it has everything to do with it, right? And it always drives almost every choice that we make. We're always thinking about, death, because death is the ultimate unknown for us. Even if we feel like we understand, or we sense, or we believe in something that death is for us, nevertheless, right, it's always a confrontation. In every situation, it's always there. And it brings me to the third point that I think makes me unwell is this idea of being uncomfortable. When death is always in the room with you, it's always occupying your body in equal portion with life, right? Because they are really the same, you might say. We acknowledge and feel joy perhaps with one piece of that, but the other part is sort of unacknowledged, goes unacknowledged. And that makes us uncomfortable, because what we don't acknowledge creates discomfort, dis-ease, disease in the body. And that brings a lack of wellness. It makes us unwell. And so on a journey of wellness, I think for me, a big piece of that is confronting the ultimate fear that drives all other fear. Because without the fear of death, I don't think that we would have fear really of much. And we certainly wouldn't have a lot of other things like courage or even maybe love, right? Because although we see them as polarities, love and fear are sort of the same thing, right? And so part of my wellness journey is unpacking that. And this is a metaphysical reflection. It's not a very practical reflection in terms of like the day-to-day things. Like I could talk a bit about what I'm going to do with food and nutrition, because I'm an emotional eater, and that definitely makes me feel unwell. But if I just look at the food, because it's such a problem for me, I'm not really looking at the problem. The problem isn't really the food. The problem is my desire to self-harm and to medicate and to placate and to bury with food. And then the question becomes like, well, what am I burying, right? So that's what this video is about. What is actually driving that unwellness? And I think those are the three primary culprits.